How's it going, people? My name's Shale, and welcome to episode 2 of my SMITE Tips and Tricks series. This episode I'll be going over Tyr the Lawgiver. This video is going to err on the long side of things, but that's just because Tyr is my most played character and I have a ton of tips to show you guys. As always, I hope you learned something new, and enjoy.
From Neverland, usually hanging out with Peter Pan. And when we're bored, we play in the woods, always on the run from Captain Hook. Run, run, lost boy, they say to me, away from all of reality. They say, Peter Pan, that's what they call me.
So for my first tip here, guys, I have something that even a lot of Tyr veterans won't know about. It's that the timing between your red Fearless and your red Cleave actually changes the amount of distance and CC time that you get on the abilities. So if you use your abilities rapidly together, you'll see them for about 2.2 seconds, shoot them about 60 units, and put them in range with an auto attack at the end. Now, you can use those abilities slower, CC them for 0.1 seconds longer, and shoot them about 10 units farther, though you won't have done as much damage as fast and won't have the auto attack at the end. So for my second tip here, guys, I have something that's pretty damn useful, is that you can cancel your blue dash with your blue cleave. This is a really nice thing to have if you're trying to close a distance between someone but don't want to overshoot them. You can cancel it and go straight into a red CC chain. You'll see here that you can just dash and immediately cancel no matter how far you've gone along on the dash. And the counterpart to this is using it in the red dash to say cancel out someone's Magi's or to chase someone when they've beads already, so you can just catch up with them. So for the tip that's next up, this is going to make you guys look like really great Tyr players to your enemies. After you lock someone up in a red CC chain, hit them with an auto attack and throw your ultimate towards their base. Most of the times when someone gets out of a red CC chain from Tyr, they're just going to jump or dash away as fast as possible. Use this inherent reaction to just make sure that they get the full brunt of your entire kit's damage and look really cool while doing it. So if you didn't know, Tyr's pretty much a god all about positioning. All it takes is one wrong move near him and his tower or his team or a wall and it'll put you in a very bad spot. A lot of times a Tyr can do this just by using a technique I like to call the swish. It's basically just a little half circle around the enemy to push them towards your base instead of theirs. Now you can use this in conjunction with a stance switch to catch your enemy really off guard, possibly even a blink too. So there is another way to get people out of position with your movement as Tyr, and that's just backstepping them when they're chasing from behind. It's uncommon to have happen and quite hard to pull off, but when you do, it feels awesome. Look at that. Whew. Here's a tip that can help you guys confirm more damage as Tyr. Now, I see a lot of Tyr players ulting in blue stance, and this just doesn't make any sense if you can avoid it. Your ultimate has 120% scaling, so that means if you're in red stance, you'll be doing about 60 more damage on paper when you land. Now, on top of that, your ultimate puts you into a new position, and if you're in red stance, you can use that new positioning to CC some new targets. So, because Tyr is a predominantly solo lane god, there are some cool things that you can do with his skills at early levels, which is what I'll be going over in this section, but first, just the general skill order. If you're a solo lane Tyr, you're going to want to go your Cleave, Fearless, Switch Stance, then your ultimate, just because the Cleave gives you a lot better sustain in lane. In jungle, you'll be going Fearless first, then Cleave, and then the usual, just because you're looking for damage, because you're looking to gank a lot. In any other mode, just level up Fearless first as well. So at level 3, things are going to start to get weird for Tyr's abilities. You're going to want to put a point into your Cleave if you have either no threat in the lane, or you have low mana and you're just looking to clear. You can put a point into your 3 if you have low HP, or you have high mana, you can just dump your skills to get your health back up. And out of all these, this is going to be the weirdest one. It's putting a point into your 1. Now, the only times I do this is if there's absolute kill potential in the lane, just because, like I said earlier, Fearless just does a ton of damage. Sometimes it's even enough to turn 2v1s in your favor. It just has so much kill potential that's totally worth it if you know that you're going to get the kill. So this tip is going to be a shocker to some. It's that at level 5, you don't have to put a point into your ultimate. And it just makes sense that way, really. It gives you better 1v1 duel potential. It gives you better sustain and better clear. It's just a better pick unless you know a gank's incoming. Whether from the enemy or your team, that's really the only time to use it. Don't worry about it though, you're going to pick it up for sure at level 6 anyways. So now onto the more niche tips with Tyr. The first one being a pretty weird one, it's that when you use a red Fearless on someone, they'll actually be immune to all incoming damage for about a half second while they're sliding along the ground. Make sure you use this when you're securing your own buff camps as well as stealing away the enemies. They won't even be able to hog the big minion if they even tried. So this is by far my favorite tip on Tyr, and that's that Tyr's scary. Whenever you come near someone, they're going to be afraid of you Fearless chaining them into a wall or your team. Because of this, anytime you go near someone, you should be getting something out of it. Whether that's an active, some free distance, maybe an escape, maybe a kill on top of that. Even if your Fearless is down, that doesn't mean that they know that, and you should be getting something just by being there. So this one's going to seem weird at first, but if you're playing Tyr in the solo lane and you're past level 9, I'd suggest that you only fight the enemy in their minions. Because of this, they'll be more enticed to fight you. At that point, you can heal back about 400 health, clear the minions, and chunk them down all at the same time. So this is something that probably shouldn't be in the game. It's that when you cosmetic jump and then get red cleaved by Tyr, you'll get knocked back. Any experienced Tyr player won't cleave someone who's jumping away, and any other experienced player will jump away from a Tyr and cut down his chase potential. So I'm calling these last tips miscellaneous just because I couldn't really find a good spot for them. Maybe they're not really affecting gameplay that much, or they shouldn't really be in the game. The first one being that you can just push someone all the way back into their well in Assault. You can do this by cleaving them when they fall out of base, cleaving them when they jump, or just pushing them all the way back into their base. So here's a tip that really shouldn't be here, at least for much longer. It's that when a Fenrir jumps with his Unchained, you can actually push him out of it before he lands with a well-timed Fearless. Also, if you didn't know, both of Tyr's dashes will go through Ymir's wall, only if the enemies are pressed up against it though. And finally, Herc's Earthbreaker will get interrupted by Tyr's Power Cleave, no matter which side of the knockup they're on. But as always guys, my name's Shale, and I'll see you all in the next one.